Joining us now from Sao Paulo is journalist Gustavo Ribeiro. He's the founder and editor-in-chief of the Brazilian Report newspaper. Thanks very much for joining us. Now, just talk about Bolsonaro's influence, stronghold over his supporters. How did he manage to galvanize the people today?
Thanks for having me. Well, Brazil remains a country that is deeply polarized, and no one right of center has managed to get the clout that Bolsonaro has. Bolsonaro, before becoming president, he was a congressional backbencher, and he rose his profile through a very diligent and skillful social media strategy. So he spent years creating his persona, and no one in the right has been able to do that in recent years. So this protest today, it shows that Bolsonaro still commands a large part of the electorate, but it was no game changer, as a matter of fact.
Of course, he says he denies the accusations. Tell us more about what he's accused of and what kind of evidence authorities have.
Well, Bolsonaro, when he was in power, he spent years trying to discredit Brazil's voting system. He threatened to stage a coup d'etat in very tongue-in-cheek ways throughout his presidency. He never acknowledged defeat once the election was called for Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, who is the current president. And then 1 week into Lula's term, hordes of pro-Bolsonaro supporters stormed and ransacked buildings in Brasilia on January the 8th, 2023. It was just like the Capitol riots, but if the rioters had invaded not only the Capitol, but also the West Wing and the Supreme Court building, which is what they did in Brazil. After that, the police started to investigate who instigated, who incited, who organized these riots, and actually dug a wealthy body of evidence that Bolsonaro and members of his cabinet were recruiting military officers, business leaders, and political leaders to support a coup d'etat. They had legal experts trying to draft quote-unquote legal ways to discredit the election and to try to declare a state of defense or a state of siege in order to overthrow the election. But he never amassed the support he needed to actually carry out these events.
You made the comparison with January 6th there. How close is this case against Bolsonaro compared to Trump's indictment in terms of the charges and what he's facing? And talk a little bit about the trajectory of both movements, both the Make America Great MAGA movement here in the US versus Bolsonaro's supporters. Is Bolsonaro and his supporters, are they a product of Trump, do you think?
I wouldn't say they are a byproduct of Trump. I think there are a lot of dynamics that are specific to Brazil. I think they have borrowed a lot of pages from Trump's playbook. But for instance, Bolsonaro has been a denier of our electronic voting system since the 90s. So it was not something that he learned from Trump. But his movement has made a lot of copycat moves regarding Trump. Now, I think his situation may be much more daunting than Trump's at this moment, because Bolsonaro has already been declared ineligible for office last year, so he's barred from running for public office until 2030. Bolsonaro also faces multiple criminal investigations, from document forgery to this planned coup. And earlier this month, the police forced him to surrender his passport, which for many legal experts kind of telegraphs what is to come. And in pro-Bolsonaro circles, an arrest is seen as not necessarily only a possible outcome for the near future, but probably but a probable outcome for him.
Bolsonaro arrived waving the Israeli flag, a rejection of President da Silva's remarks comparing Israel's offensive in Gaza to the Holocaust. Talk about how polarized the conflict in Gaza is in Brazil and whether or not it's being weaponized, in a sense, between the two leaders.
Well, in Brazil, the Israel-Palestine issue cuts really across party lines. The left is more pro-Palestine and against what they see as Israel's colonialism in Gaza and in the West Bank. And the right wing is more pro-Israel, especially evangelical segments, which for religious issues, they are very supportive of Israel. So, and the evangelicals are an extremely important constituency for Bolsonaro. So when Lula said what he said, actually he gave ammunition. A lot of experts believe that maybe today's rally actually was larger than many were expecting, also because Lula compared Israel to the Nazis, and that may have galvanized evangelical segments of society.
Gustavo Ribeiro, really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.